Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, a serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. It's a post-election special with some different sports that can deal with kind of some of the issues in sports beyond just politics. But let's get to some of the election issues. I know we understand how important the election was, but some people will talk about a Donald Trump presidency that could harm LA's ongoing bid to host the 2024 Olympic Games, and a potential push from the U.S. Soccer Federation to stage all or part of the 2026 FIFA World Cup that America might host with Mexico. But let's understand that Trump's experience as a sports league and team owner could mean that he'll forge policies beneficial to the sports industry both at home and abroad. The orderly transition of power hopefully serves as a industry understanding that sports can serve as an important component of the healing process. City of Cleveland coming together 4 months ago with the Cavaliers. 5 million people attending a Cubs victory parade 3 weeks ago. Hopefully, by the way, the country now focuses on what unites us rather than what divides us. Here's one thing we know about the man who will become America's 45th president. He's passionate about golf. So what could his presidency mean for his golf courses and for the game? Consider Trump's 18 global properties against Golf Digest's annual compilation of the world's best 100 courses, a bucket list virtually assuring tee times. The $63 million Trump Turnberry in Ayrshire, Scotland, comes in at number 22 on the 2016 list, followed by Scotland's Trump International at 54. The RNA has pulled Turnberry from the Open Championship rotation following Trump's negative comments about Muslims. While none of his American clubs made the Golf Digest list, Trump's presidential victory elevated his national brand power overnight. In a survey by Brand Keys, the Trump brand rebounded to levels close to or exceeding added value measures just prior to his announced presidential candidacy. Two things are certain about Trump's golf influence. One, any trade agreement changes he makes will likely be in the best interest of his global golf holdings and thus supporting the game's global growth. And second, since he's vowed to turn his business empire over to his children, it'll be hands off with Trump golf, some would say. We've got a heck of a show from a number of different perspectives. Morgan Pressel on golf, Chris Lencheski on racing, Don Waddell, the president of the Carolina Hurricanes, on hockey. All of that coming up. Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-499-MY-TV.
Right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $24.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $24.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Cancel the cable, cut costs, and get more.
Call now, 877-499-MY-TV. That's 877-499-MY-TV.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply. Subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Sometimes what you want most from your car is nothing. No headaches, no surprises, no anxiety when it's late at night and you're on some distant freeway in a thunderstorm. Owning a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz can be that anxiety-free experience on every level. You know you're in one of the safest and most thoughtfully engineered vehicles on the road. And with an unlimited mileage warranty, you can drive as far as you want for up to 3 years, with roadside assistance included. Your sense of confidence and adventure are as unlimited as the warranty itself. Now you can drive the car of your dreams and realize that nothing is everything. And during the certified pre-owned sales event, now through August 31st, you can receive 2 years of complimentary prepaid maintenance and 0.99% APR financing on select models, available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. You've waited long enough.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties. APR offer available only to qualified customers. Call 1-800-FOR-Mercedes for details about costs and terms.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, post-election special. Well, guess what? Our guests this week have nothing to do with voting, but have a lot to do with implementation. Morgan Pressel, currently playing on the LPGA Tour, but she turned pro at the age of 17, the youngest ever winner of a modern LPGA major championship. Her current endorsement deals Callaway, Polo Ralph Lauren, Royal Bank of Canada, Audemars Piguet. She's married to industry friend and friend of the program, Andy Bush, a senior vice president at Octagon Global Events. But she'll talk about charity, golf, the Guggenheim Championship in Indianapolis that's coming up this Labor Day, and a whole host of other things. Morgan Pressel.
Morgan Pressel, so cut to the chase of what it was like when you were 17 years old and you turned pro. And you're thinking, I'm going to be a professional athlete and I'm going to compete against these 25, 30, 35-year-old girls. Basically, was it a tough decision?
Was it a tough decision? For sure. Foregoing college in general is a tough decision. Whether, I really felt like I was ready, I certainly did. My uncle was a professional tennis player as well, so he didn't go to college either and turned pro at a young age, so I kind of saw that it's possible to do that. And I don't know, after I played in the Women's Open when I was 13, I knew I wanted to play golf for a living. So whether that meant going to college or going straight to the LPGA, I had a little bit of success as an amateur in LPGA events and had accomplished everything that I wanted to in my amateur career and decided to give it a shot.
Well, and you won the Kraft Nabisco at 18. What took you so long?
That was quite the moment, being able to jump in Poppy's Pond. It's such an incredible historical event for the LPGA and all the great champions that have taken that leap into the pond and have hoisted that trophy, and certainly in honor of Dinah Shore, who was a great pioneer for the LPGA as well, a big promoter. And to have my name on that wall there every year when I go back is pretty special.
And this is a business audience, international audience as well. And I got to be very careful so I don't get punched, because you're not a senior states person and you're not kind of an ambassador, but you are a mentor to a lot of the girls out here. How does that feel?
Well, it's definitely roles have reversed over the last few years. I mean, this is my 11th year on tour, and I used to be the 17, 18-year-old who was the young whippersnapper, and now I'm one of the older players on tour, but still grinding away, doing my thing, and it's great to see the young talent. It shows the future of our game and our tour is really strong, and players like Lydia Ko and Brooke Henderson and Aria Jutanagar are in top 3 in the world right now, and they're all, the oldest is at 20. So, the future is certainly bright, and they have tremendous poise, and besides incredible golf games, they're great people who are great representatives of the tour.
That's another point that's important here. We're here in Indy, and there's this Women in Tech Challenge championship that's going to happen every year, and you're here as part of that. And there is such immersion of these athletes, you guys, in the community, and you really understand what that sponsorship's all about. Is that inherent? Is that ingrained? Is that Mike Wan, the commissioner, pounding it in your head? What is it?
I really think it's part of the LPGA's legacy in general, is to encourage the players to take tremendous ownership of our tour. And with that comes our events and our sponsors. And we have a saying that really resonates with me, and we have it all over our locker rooms every week. And it's pretty simple, but it's act like a founder. And we had 13 women who drove cars all over the country and put on their own golf tournaments and played for their own money and purses that they put up and tried to get their own sponsorships. And they created the organization 65 years ago, and it's still now the longest running women's sports organization in the world. And it's our job to carry the torch forward for the next generation. And I think our girls get it. I really do. And I think that's what's unique about the LPGA, and why having the LPGA here in Indy will be really great for this community.
Well, from a global perspective, too, the Charles Barkley, I'm not a role model, anywhere from that to a player who doesn't respect or understand the history of a baseball game or whatever, frustrate you? Can you get by it? Is it that's their sport and this is mine? Or how do you feel about all that?
Yeah, that's their deal. Golf is very different. Golf is unique in that aspect. I mean, I think that every week out on tour we have 144 great role models, especially for the young generation of golfers. It's a big initiative of the LPGA, is with USGA LPGA Girls Golf, and encouraging the next generation of players, not just to be professional golfers, but to be great people through the game of golf and teach them life that way. And that's how we feel, and I can't speak for anybody else, but that's certainly how I try to go about my day and to live my life.
A little different for you because you've got it, you understand business. How difficult is the transition from kind of knowing when to give up the active game? You're not there yet, but knowing that it's in the future, to becoming a successful business person after that.
Well, for sure. It's quite the challenge, right? I mean, golf is unique in that you certainly can play golf for a long time, but only really the best are able to do that, to have long careers. And other than that, what's next? And I think here with the Women in Tech Initiative in Indy, it'll be interesting to see what players get involved and what players are interested by it, who are maybe looking for their next opportunity and something to take them further beyond the game of golf. And I mean, we'll all have golf with us for our entire lives, and I'm a huge believer that golf is very important in business, even in any office, to be able to have the ability to play golf, get you out on the boardroom, out on the golf course, which is a very special place. And so I think it'll be really neat to see how that assists our players as well.
Magic wand, Mike Wand has it, you don't. Magic wand, wave it, change one thing about the women's tour today, what is it?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, we're constantly nipping away, our big thing is the communities that we travel to, and that we're a worldwide global tour. We're the only one. Yeah. We play in, 12, 15 different countries, and, my passport is very large and has a lot of stamps and visas and everything else. But then we also have the ability to play 15 times here in the States and to really make an impact here back at home. We have players from all over the world that come to compete on our tour. It's where the best players in the world come to play, and we showcase that every week.
By the way, so everybody understands, politics may be in the future. That was a really good answer, but it wasn't the question that I asked, but that's okay. So no magic wand answer? You're not going to give me a magic wand answer?
I have to think about it.
All right.
I have to think about it.
All right, we'll do that, 6 months, 2 years from now, we'll do that again. Finally, what do you do? I know you have a pension interest for business, family, all that is obviously important, but what do you do with the next 2/3 of your life?
Well, certainly we'd love to have a family. For me, my biggest passion away from the golf course is my foundation, and it's just an honor. My mother, who passed away from breast cancer, we have a huge event every January, and so kind of as my season's wrapping up now, I'm pushing towards a lot of work on our event and getting everything ready for that. But I'd love to be able to give more of my time to that than I do. I'm certainly involved, but still playing a full schedule, I feel like maybe when I am able to give more time to the foundation, we can really grow in a different direction, and possibly TV. I don't know. I'm after your job.
That's not going to be hard. Possibly TV. It's one of those, coy, I can do anything, but maybe TV is one of those things I'll fall back on.
I actually really enjoyed. I worked with Fox covering the U.S. Open last year at Chambers Bay, and that was my first kind of foray into it, and I really enjoyed it. And it's something that I'll probably look into eventually. I got some years left, though, on tour first.
Well, she certainly does. And by the way, at the end of this event, she cranked a drive about 560 yards down the center of the straightaway at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. That's pretty difficult to hit the ball that straight. A little nervous?
Yeah, it's very narrow. I mean, our fairways on tour, this may be 15 yards wide. It's pretty narrow. And then to keep it straight the whole way so that it gets that straight bounce. But it was a lot of fun. It's definitely a unique experience for me to be able to hit a golf ball off the finish line right there. And it'll be really neat to be back here and to play the golf course here in the backyard.
There's one athlete that is very comfortable about doing something that she usually doesn't do on a regular basis in life and in business. Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate it. Okay.
Morgan Pressel, a golf superstar at age 17, and obviously an entrepreneur in sports today. Next up, Chris Lencheski, Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard. Be back in a couple of minutes.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for prescription drugs? Well, we have great news. Now you can finally get prescription drugs at huge discounts from Canada Drug Center. That's right, the most popular drugs for cholesterol, high blood pressure, depression, diabetes, arthritis, and many more are now up to 75% off. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices when you can get brand name drugs at the lowest price? Call today and get up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs. Never pay high prices again. Get the most popular drugs at huge savings from our Canadian and international pharmacies and fulfillment centers. No insurance? No problem. Prices are so low you do not need benefits or insurance to get all your prescriptions fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting to take your call now. Order today and get free shipping. Just call 800-950-1180. Up to 75% off all the popular brand name prescription drugs and free shipping. Call 800-950-1180. That's 800-950-1180.
$100 million in jury verdicts and settlements for serious injury victims, medical malpractice victims, and surviving family members of wrongful death victims. Trial Lawyers for Justice. This is a firm that does not handle frivolous lawsuits. They go after insurance company money, and they're darn good at it. They don't sell their clients out or settle cheaply. Trial Lawyers for Justice, the firm that goes the distance for you, their client. They treat their clients the way you would want your own family members taken care of. Nicholas Rowley, Dominic Pachota, and the other trial lawyers in the firm at Trial Lawyers for Justice, dedicated to representing the people and their families in Iowa, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin, Illinois, California, Wyoming, and many other states. Trial Lawyers for Justice. $100 million in settlements and jury verdicts already in 2016. 888-811-0844. TL4J.com. Trial Lawyers for Justice.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-480-5708. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-480-5708. That's 800-480-5708. Again, 800-480-5708.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the serious show that doesn't take itself too seriously. Today we're talking about agency, sports media rights, and leagues. We have a different perspective on each. The agency game, Chris Lencheski, CEO, IRG Sports and Entertainment, the portfolio company of TPG, global property and private investment firm worth about $75 billion in assets under management, Hot Rod Association, cars, racetracks. You make money on it as far as wheels are concerned. Chris Lencheski involved in it, one of the brilliant minds in the sports business. Syracuse University, executive classes at Harvard, Chris Lencheski. Chris Lencheski, CEO, IRG Sports Entertainment. And part of the process is the merger of sports and entertainment, and obviously the company is cutting edge in that area. Chris, tell us a little bit about the company and what you do with it.
Well, what do you do, right? Vice Chairman, CEO of the holding company. We own multiple tracks at various levels. Some of our tracks capable of holding NASCAR events, IndyCar events, drag racing events. We charter and sanction over 100 tracks throughout North America. We're the largest drag racing sanctioning body globally in the world, uniquely second in the U.S. to the NHRA, which does a great job, but the largest global footprint, largest sportsman amateur footprint, and our drag bike league, the IDBL, is also the largest drag bike league. We organize and manage over 1,000 events in a calendar year. So everything from the top level, major league professional motorsports, right down to the grassroots level, the mom and pop type teams. It's kind of a unique situation to sit in. It is at the nexus between both our television linear and traditional digital, which is now fast approaching in some of our what they call no prep or fast and furious type classes.
So you obviously cut your teeth at the foot of the Flyers, the Comcast folks. Big diversity, great qualifications. You also had the ability to do anything you really wanted. The motorsports world is growing. When you think about your entity, and it's Palm Beach International Raceway, obviously Memphis, Maryland, Cordova, Hot Rod, that attracted you to that business pretty significantly. It sounds like it's growing very well. Tell me kind of why you chose to get into this area, how fast it's growing, what attracted you to it?
Well, I'll tell you, Rick, in a lot of ways it was a return to the roots. I mean, yes, I got the good fortune and blessing to work at the foot of someone that I admire that recently passed, and Mr. Snyder, who really built the industry of managed stadiums and commercial rights and naming rights, et cetera. Longtime Flyer owner and really the foreseer of what would be regional sports networks. But prior to even coming to Comcast, I had built fortunate to build a pretty significant motorsports agency. And when TPG, which is the fourth largest investment fund in the world, called me about their investment in IRG, I said, yeah, let's look at this. Why drag racing? Drag racing uniquely is positioned between all the racing in the world for the millennials and Generation Z. Jeff Shell, who's chairman of Universal Studios, will tell you that they sold $1.3 billion worth of movie tickets for Fast and Furious 7, which is predominantly a drag racing movie with cars and girls, right? Well, that's really what this is in real life. This is drag racing with cars and girls. But the girls are racing just as much as the guys are. So it's the first most gender-neutral form of global motorsports in the world. And in our case, where we are the dominant player on the sportsman and the amateur side, and now matching up a pro level around the world, it makes for an interesting total value opportunity for the sponsors and the television partners. So what attracted to me was the changing demographics within auto racing. We have a heavy bent of Latino and Latina, strong African-American strategy, and you see it in the crowds.
See it in the crowds, but you also see it on television, I guess, and you're trying to put together a TV and digital package for all of this, hot rod, drag bike, all of the issues. How's it going, and what's the future?
Well, I'll tell you, we brought over Neil Pilson, who I know you're very familiar with, former president of CBS Sports and the architect behind the first $1 billion NASCAR television package, and went out to an RFP about 3 months ago, and we were sitting between 2, maybe 2.5 networks, 2.5 being my version of what digital won't become. So far, the early returns are good. We expect to be able to announce somewhere in June our network home, at least in the U.S., and we expect to distribute through, at this point, MP and Silva, I would imagine, somewhere between 90 to 100 countries. I was in Abu Dhabi and in Qatar recently in the last month to talk about their sanction agreements with a stopover meeting with Bernie Ecclestone to talk about why we're different than Formula One and where their path is going and where our path is going. Our racing is done and dusted, as they say, in 3 seconds. It's the ultimate racing for the ADHD crowd. With the younger group looking at these kinds of cars, like from Fast and Furious, and manufacturers looking for those audiences in the dealerships. I can put my race literally on an iPhone watch and watch it, and it's over in 4 seconds. And then the next one shows up, and that's over in 4 seconds, all going 300 miles an hour. So it's exciting, it's dramatic, and it's easy to watch, and I call it snackable motorsports.
All of that's really important, but I find it interesting as a student, and again, for a Reuters international audience, a student of cricket, which takes 4 million days, and then the 20-something turns it into something that's a little more user-friendly. You have a event, as you just said, that's over in a millisecond. Is it too short, or is it just the right time for our ADD-oriented mobile phone audience?
Well, I'll tell you what, you hit it right on the head. Cricket was a model. Rugby sevens was a model. Cricket was a model in this sense. Cricket was taking too long. So was drag racing. Drag racing was populated by long days, 9, 10-hour event days. Our change in the IHRA specifically was to go to 8-car fields for the 2017 schedule, which shortens the field by 50% and cut down our time at the track to 3 hours. So now you're much more in line with the traditional sports-going audience in the U.S., but for the consumer at the track, because we only have 8 cars per class, and there's 5 classes, they're seeing the best quality racers do their thing, and we can tournament-style race them throughout a day or afternoon of racing.
Chris Lonchesky, the guru of hot rod racing, among other things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Listen, the bottom line of all of this, too, is that while we understand NASCAR is having some issues with sponsorship and attendance, but they're certainly taking the right steps to take the next step on that, and open wheel racing with Indy and otherwise. Where do you fit in the niche? Is it a separate? Do you feel you're more NASCAR growing in popularity has some issues? Open wheel racing in the United States, Austin, Indy, otherwise. Do you feel like the open wheel and NASCAR are competitors, compatible, make it easier for you to do business, harder? Give us your perspective.
Well, I think they all deliver something different to the audience. You could walk through which audience you really would like to serve, right? NASCAR is now mainstream. As a former team owner in NASCAR, I can tell you I followed that curve, and we had great success with it. And what the France family and the promoters and the TV presenters have provided is a way to, follow a driver, which is very much driver-oriented in NASCAR as opposed to manufacturer-oriented. In IndyCar, absent of the Indy 500 currently, it does struggle to gain some kind of critical mass. Now, in drag racing, the previous models had been aging out of population interest. Our model is much more youthful, so I think our strategy is in line with the manufacturers. We do have a manufacturers council being run by one of the former senior executives at Ford, but really it's our model. We're shortening the amount of races, we're shortening the amount of classes, so we're snackable on digital environments, and then we're also attracted to the sponsors because we're not going to run as many races, we're just going to simply run them in certain markets. So the way I've explained it is our return on total value versus the amount of money it costs to be an IndyCar or NASCAR or Formula One for that matter, I would put our value against anybody. But it really comes down to which audience you're looking for. Our consumers are do-it-yourself audiences, even to this day. They change their own oil, they look for their own tire deals, they turn their own wrenches. Whereas the NASCAR consumer has grown more mainstream and the IndyCar consumer has aged up and is mainstream. So if you're about middle market customer, large consumer, jobber-type business structures, do-it-yourselfers, home and garden, that kind of thing, then drag racing is right in the wheelhouse.
Chris Lonchesky talking about the agency game, the TV rights game, the events game. It's a tough business, but Chris can navigate it. Rick Horrow, sports professor. Next up, Don Waddell, president of the Carolina Hurricanes, formerly president of the Atlanta Thrashers, and former NHL defenseman. He played 8 years in the league, and obviously a guy that made a successful transition from the ice to the boardroom. Through the first month of action, some of the NHL's youngest players are taking the league by storm.
And now, today's General Steel building tip. Buy a large lot with a friend or family member that can be split into 2 smaller lots. Some of the most appealing properties may be much larger than what you want or can afford. Yet the seller may not be willing to break up a large parcel. So if you can share the costs with someone else, preferably someone you don't mind having as a neighbor, you may be able to pick up a great building site for a reasonable price. And now, a word from General Steel.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. This could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 877-663-7126 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 877-663-7126 to take your call now. Call 877-663-7126. That's 877-663-7126. Again, 877-663-7126.
Rebuild or replace transmission, $3,200. Anti-lock brake system, $1,000. Rebuild or replace engine, $2,400. Truth is, once your manufacturer's warranty runs out, it's all on you. Every last cent. Get protection for covered repairs with a vehicle service contract from Toco Warranty. Unlike other companies, with Toco, there's no down payment, and the monthly payments are really affordable. Not sure how long you're keeping your car? At Toco, you can pay as you go. Keep your hard-earned cash and call Toco Warranty right now at 800-222-2313 to save big money on covered auto repairs. Prices vary by vehicle, but for about the cost of a tank of gas per month, a Toco plan has your back on expensive covered car repairs. Monthly payments are very affordable. Get your free quote now. Call Toco at 800-222-2313. That's 800-222-2313. 800-222-2313. Cancellation fee may apply, subject to eligibility. Not available in Missouri and Washington. Waiting period and deductible apply. Coverage provided and administered by Warrantech Corporation or its affiliates. Not affiliated with any manufacturer or dealership. Visit TocoWarranty.com for complete terms and conditions.
Sports professor Rick Horrow. Serious show, doesn't take itself too seriously. Beyond the Scoreboard. Don Waddell, president of Carolina Hurricanes. He played for the NHL for 8 years with a number of teams, and also the former president of the Atlanta Thrashers. He talks about Sun Belt NHL strategy, sports and business, and how to grow hockey not only in the Sun Belt, but in the future, television, marketing, corporate. Don Waddell.
One of the things that's really exciting is to follow one of the more stable businesses of any international sport, National Hockey League, how it's grown, revenue sharing, labor peace, the years under Gary Bettman's stewardship, and the successful franchises, the Sun Belt strategy, one of the Sun Belt's premier teams under the stewardship of Peter Kamanos and President Don Waddell, Carolina Hurricanes. Don's significant experience in the sports field. He'll tell us about it, but one of the best franchises, certainly in the league. Don, how are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you, Rick.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it very much. Give us a Don snapshot, kind of an elevator speech of how you got the business and how you ended up running the administrative side of the Hurricanes.
Well, I started my career as a player, worked my way into coaching, and then general manager for many years. And in Atlanta, I took over there in '98, started that franchise, and then we sold the franchise to Winnipeg in 2011. I stayed on for one more year. My last 3 or 4 years in Atlanta, I was doing not only the hockey, but overseeing the business side of the the NHL team, the NBA team, and the arena. So got a lot of experience at that point. And then Pete Carmanis called me back in June or May of 2014 and asked me if I'd be interested in coming in here and helping him out here. So that's how I ended up in Raleigh.
How couldn't you succeed working as a kinder, better, gentler, more athletic Stan Kasten? How's that?
Wow, that's pretty darn good. Stan is probably one of the best people I've learned from and worked for. Stan, I worked for Stan for quite a few years in Atlanta, and he's a guy that asked a lot of questions, but always supported the decisions. You know, he openly admitted he wasn't a hockey guy, but he understood sports. And he'd ask some tough questions, and you'd give him answers, and he always supported. But I can't say enough good things about Stan Kasten.
Don Waddell, the president of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Right.
The bottom line, too, for our business audience is diversity and how people feel about the traits that kind of carry them into success in their organization. So, best guy to talk about this. You ran parts of an organization. You didn't play the NBA side, even though you're a hockey player. And so, what do you think for our business listeners is the one trait that sustained and nurtured your rise through sports administration, NHL, and otherwise?
100% is establishing a culture that people enjoy working in. And, you know, we all work a lot of hours in the sports world. People sacrifice a lot of nights, a lot of weekends, because that's when sports are played. So they never get rewarded totally in compensation. But so you try to create a culture that people want to be there and they want to do the best job they can for it. And that's been from day one when I started my management career to the day I get out. That's the number one thing on my mind.
Segue into the NHL for a minute. Obviously, sustainability and stability, probably one of the most important traits as well. Media, labor peace. How well you think the NHL is positioned for future growth over the next 10, 15 years?
Well, you touched on it, Rick, when you started. Gary Bettman has done a tremendous job of leading the league. You know, I've been in the NHL since 97, 98, and so I've watched it grow. But, you know, we had a lot of issues on the table through the years with the Player Association and different ownership groups, and Gary's done a tremendous job of bringing that all together. And if you look at where franchises are today, particularly on the valuation side to where they were even 4 or 5 years ago, the increase has been tremendous for our ownership. And, you know, the labor piece, I think, is one thing that the NHL has gone through some tough negotiations, some work stoppages, but we now have a CBA that is beneficial to both the player and to the hockey team. And I give all the credit in the world to Gary and his team.
You've been the one thing that's interesting in your Thrasher Hurricane career is you certainly become one of the resident experts at the positives and negatives of Sunbelt franchises and Gary's Sunbelt strategy. How do you think it's working? Obviously, a certain set of circumstances in Atlanta, then to Winnipeg again, but generally working well in the future of the franchises like the Nationals and Florida and Tampa Bay, et cetera?
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. I think if you look at particularly the Florida teams right now with the ownership groups that have gone in there in Florida recently in the last few years, and Jeff Vinnick in Tampa, you know, the stabilization of the franchise through ownership is the first step. And Tampa Bay hit the home run when Mr. Vinnick bought that franchise, and obviously you see what they're doing not only on the ice but off the ice. You know, that their attendance is strong. Their business side of the sport is very strong. You know, in Atlanta, even our first 4 or 5 years, Ted Turner owned our team, and we were heading in the right direction. And we got a little caught up. We had an ownership group that bought the team in 2005, a little dispute amongst ownership, and it kind of sidetracked us somewhat, and we could never get back on track there. But, you know, when you look at Nashville, what they've done there, you know, Pete Carmanis here has invested a lot of time and energy and money into Raleigh. They've had some great success in the past, winning the Cup in 2006. And, when I got in here, the one thing that I realized right off the bat, the Hurricanes brand was very strong in this marketplace. We had a little disconnect with our fans and our sponsors, and that's the number one step that we're trying to correct, and we've made huge improvements in it, and we got more ways we can continue to improve that.
I think you'd appreciate, I did a little homework for you. This is an international broadcast, but in Pinehurst, North Carolina today, and I've seen maybe 10, 12 Hurricane banners. So put the business card solicitation, season ticket notice under their mailboxes, and you'll be getting contacted from them shortly. I'm sure you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, we love that. We have one of our minority investors, J.J. Jackson, lives at Pinehurst, and I think he's brought everybody at Pinehurst at one time or another to a hockey game this past year that I've got an opportunity to meet. So that's good to hear. And we look at it. We're not just a Triangle team. We're the state team as the only NHL professional team here. So we're trying to reach everybody.
Don, how hard is this to compete against the? This is North Carolina. Here is obviously a college basketball state. With the Hornets, they're attempting to reclaim pro basketball. It's obviously a football state with the Panthers as well. Very competitive environment, but how do you rise above that over time?
Well, we talk about here in the Triangle area, being the only professional sports team. The colleges, to me, can work in our favor, and we started to utilize that more last year. There's a lot of division between NC State, UNC, and Duke, and even University of South Carolina. But the one thing that we can always bring to the table is when they come to Hurricane games, they all can root for the same team. So we don't really feel like we compete with the college sports. Obviously, they get a lot of attention in October and November when our season first starts, and it's evident by our attendance. As of December 21st this year, we were 2,600 people more a game paid. Had somewhat to do with how the team was playing, but it's also we become the only thing happening in this area.
A couple more. International audience, World Cup of Hockey, as one of the guys who has to shepherd his assets through a grueling off-season schedule heading into training camp. Are you all for the World Cup of Hockey? Excited about what it stands for and what it might do?
Yes, very much so. I was part of the World Cup in 2004 as the assistant general manager, and I've been fortunate to be as a general manager of the 2006 Olympic team. The World Cup to me is a different time. The Olympics. The only negative for the Olympics is it's a great obviously product for everybody, but it breaks up our season. You have to shut down for 17, 18 days, where the World Cup doesn't do that. So you get all the players coming in off the summer. They're all fresh, ready to go. So I think it's going to be the best hockey in the world at this time, and I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about particularly the U.S. team, since I've been part of the U.S. program for so many years.
Are you also comfortable about the opportunity for expansion? Obviously Gary's leadership is that expansion is a possibility, not a guarantee, and there's always the subject of dilution, but you're always going into other different markets, whether it is Quebec or Vegas or otherwise. How do you, as an active member of the league, feel about expansion?
Well, I think, we get kept up to date on all the information. To me, expansion, if you have the right city, the right ownership group, there's a tremendous amount of talent out there. So I know people talk about dilution in the league. I don't see that as a big obstacle to get around. I think the key, anytime you're going to look at expansion, is does the city, are they going to welcome hockey? Is it going to have an opportunity to succeed there? And then number one thing is the ownership group, because as you know, coming into professional sports is not a small business anymore. So you have to have ownership that's entrenched not only in the community, but can withstand the financial end of it. So if you have those two things, and I certainly would support the league either direction. But if expansion happens, I think it's good for the league.
What's the business look like, let's say, 10 years from now? What does it look like running an NHL franchise, and what does the NHL look like generally?
Well, that's a great question. I think 10 years from now, we're always changing. The environments are changing. Even the arenas are changing as the new ones are being built. So Who knows exactly what the technology is going to be, but there's no doubt, with social media and everything we do now in the arena, those things are only going to be enhancements for our fans. Because anytime we do anything, whether it's relocating people in the building through beacons that they get on their iPhone, we're always talking about the customer experience. We get people here for 3 hours. Our fans are in the building for 3 hours. We got to entertain them. And, professional sports are not inexpensive to go to. So you got to make sure, win or lose, that you entertain your fans. So where we're going to be in another 5 years is hard to predict. In 10 years, I think you're going to see the league continuing to grow, even in its existing markets, because the base around the number of kids playing in hockey in the United States in particular, in all those non-traditional hockey markets, continues to grow, and we're seeing players drafted from every state now, almost in the union, that hockey is alive and growing quickly.
Finally, Don, we take this in May, though we archive it and use it throughout the year, and we are watching 4 teams in the conference semis, and they don't include the Hurricanes, but it doesn't matter. But as a guy that runs a franchise, do you tune in or tune out?
As business people, the one thing we pay attention to is who's spending money on television, who's spending money on dashboards, in-ice logos, all that, because for us, we know that those people, those companies are hockey fans. Now we have to tell them why Raleigh would be a place to come. So, I watch everything, and then, of course, the games themselves. Yeah, we'd love to be playing at this time of the year. I was fortunate to win a cup with Detroit in 97, 98, and there's no better feeling than playoff hockey and then obviously winning. But the hockey is just intense right now, and it's really fun to watch. So I try not to miss any of the games.
Don has a lot of interesting perspective for the NHL and Carolina Hurricanes. And we'll be back with Bust, Boom, and Hope in just a couple of minutes.
We all know healthcare has changed drastically. It's quite the puzzle to sort through your options and find a health insurance plan that's affordable and maximizes your benefits. And you're now required by law to have health insurance, or you may pay a tax penalty. So let the Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. They offer plans from over 120 different companies and can even help you obtain government subsidies. Let them do all the research for you and show you how affordable health insurance can be, a service that's at no extra cost to you. Call now and learn your options to find affordable health insurance. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. 800-614-1242. Health Markets Insurance Agency is a DBA or assumed name of Inspire Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is a licensed insurance agency in all 50 states and D.C. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service availability varies by state.
Attention, if you've had hip replacement surgery and suffered any complications, you need to listen to this important legal alert. Major manufacturers have made billions of dollars available to award legal claims for defective hip implants. Thousands of these defective hip implants have been recalled by various manufacturers. If you've had hip surgery and suffered complications, you may be entitled to receive significant compensation to help you deal with your complications. You may be eligible to receive money to help with medical expenses, lost wages, and pain and suffering. Protect yourself by hiring an experienced trial attorney. Our partner law firms are experts in hip replacement surgery lawsuits. Find out now if you're eligible to receive any of the $2.5 billion hip settlement fund. Call now for free information. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. 800-296-1360. That's 800-296-1360.
Fanatics.com is the place to get your favorite licensed college football fan gear. It's also the place to win the hottest bowl tickets for the season. Pull out your phone and Shazam this ad now for your chance to win an all-inclusive bowl game experience for 2. Plus $250 to deck yourself out in officially licensed gear from Fanatics. Inside, you'll also find Fanatics merchandise, apps, and more. If you want to be on the sidelines of the biggest bowl games, Shazam now. If you're a sports fan and you love your team, you gotta check out Fanatics.com. Fanatics is the best place for fan gear from the most trusted brands. Authentic fan gear from the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, and NCAA college football and basketball. Jerseys, hoodies, t-shirts, hats, collectibles, and more. It's the world's largest collection of official fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and players you love. Everything officially licensed. Go to Fanatics.com for gear and show love for your teams this season. Fanatics. Love never loses.
Sports professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, series show that doesn't take itself too seriously, but $1 billion sports business. Why not? And now, bust, boom, and hope. The bad, the good, and the hopeful in the economy. First bust. University of Illinois announced it'll discontinue playing its biennial matchup at Northwestern with Northwestern University at Soldier Field in Chicago. AD Josh Whitman, disappointed with the game's attendance last year, thought it was time for a change. In 2015, the game drew only an announced crowd of 33,000 2 days after Thanksgiving to a venue that holds about 61,500. In Illinois' dilemma, similar to the decision NFL owners make when they consider giving up a home game to play in London. Is the increased brand exposure worth foregoing several $1 million in revenue each home game brings? Obviously, Illinois makes its decision. How about boom? Well, the Ford EcoBoost at Homestead Miami Speedway, NASCAR's championship weekend. Programming all weekend long. On Friday, the Camping World Truck Series, the revamped Championship 4 format, 4 drivers battling for the division crown. On Saturday, the Xfinity Series comes to an electrifying conclusion with its own refurbished playoff format, featuring 4 drivers contending for the Xfinity Trophy amongst a full field of drivers. The climax on Sunday with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, championship race capping off the weekend. NASCAR quickly evolves from choosing a new champion to lining up a new title sponsor and generating more excitement, revenue, market stability, and awareness over time. Finally, hope. As MLB works quickly toward a new CBA, the international draft may be on the table. Rob Manfred, during GM meetings in Arizona, expressed optimism a new CBA deal could be reached before the current one expires on December 1. The potential for an international draft, allegedly one of the prominent topics being discussed. As we've learned on a broader scale over the last couple of days, markets don't like the uncertainty, and that's something we have to deal with. And the union understands that as well, says Manfred. As we've said before, international sports ruling today, and baseball realizes that as well. Thanks for the show today. We'd like to thank Chris Lancheski talking motorsports, Don Waddell talking hockey, Morgan Pressel talking golf. Next week, Thanksgiving and all of its charities. And again, thanks to you for listening. And thanks once again next week when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.